Throughout this program, we're going to explore an area of information that can make a trip into the backcountry safer, more comfortable, and even more enjoyable. The subject is outdoor survival skills, and while we hope you never need them, they detail the kind of information that is better to have and not need, rather than vice versa. Each year, an unfortunate few venturing into wild places find themselves confronted with danger. Quite often, it's because they fail to exercise common sense. The most significant survival concept can be summed up quite readily. In a nutshell, the most important survival tool is the human mind. Remember what was said about the mind being the greatest survival tool? Well, in order for it to work, it has to be under control. The real secret to outdoor survival is pre-planning. And while not nearly as glamorous or as dangerously romantic as the image of a Rambo facing the wilderness with only a huge knife, it is decidedly more effective. In order to study the concept of survival, it can be broken down into 8 separate areas of concern. Their importance in the field depends on immediate circumstances. Should you become lost, your top concern might be orienteering and navigation. But if your knife slipped while wet with deer blood, your first concern could be medical. The most common difficulty encountered in the wilderness is getting lost. There are a number of precautions that can be taken to help lessen the chances of this occurring. Before starting out, whether it be hike or hunt, notify a responsible party, such as a relative or close friend, where you intend to travel and how long you intend to stay. Many a snowbound hunter has thanked his lucky stars he made this decision. In terms of survival, signaling is used to inform others of your whereabouts and/or your need for help. Damp material is placed on the fires to generate smoke. A black cloud of smoke can be generated by burning a tire, rubber, plastics, kerosene, motor oil, or gasoline. 3 shots fired into the air represent the international signal for distress. 3 blasts on a whistle or other noise-making device will also work.
And repeat until help comes.
There are 2 kinds of wilderness shelter, those you carry with you and those that you construct from materials found in your natural environment.
This is the easiest, quickest outdoor shelter you can build. It's called a deadfall lean-to. You use a large log or rocks on which sticks are piled up. Then latticed across that horizontally are other sticks over which you set your foliage, which is then weighed down with other logs. It's a good idea when building this kind of shelter to try and find a log or a barrier that is facing the wind so that it acts as a windbreak. Then you just climb right in under here, under the foliage, go to sleep. There you have it. This is a Mamba from Blackjack Knives. This is a British Army MOD paraknife. This is a mash axe. This is a Bushmaster. This is a 12-inch survival tool machete. This is a Norland axe. You need a larger tool than a regular sheath knife.
There is virtually no above-ground water in the U.S. that is not contaminated with some form of parasitic microorganism. There is a military saying that it is better to ration sweat than water. Your water doesn't do any good stored in a canteen, but should be stored in your body. The cold is one of the most relentless enemies to survival. It knows no mercy, and if it doesn't kill you outright, it can quickly wear you down. In a cold emergency, any form of air-trapping material will help keep you warm as long as it's dry. Hobos and transients were famous for jamming wadded-up newspapers into their clothing to keep from freezing. Use whatever is available, such as dried grasses, cattail fluff, papers, and rags. Only in an extended emergency does the need for food become life-threatening, and then only after other survival needs have been accounted for. There is a romantic concept of being able to live off the land which does not fit reality for any but the most skilled woodsman. A number of the techniques depicted can inflict extreme pain on an animal. They are not for casual use or amusement, but rather for what the early American fur trappers called starvin' times. While venison roasted over an open fire is one of the great Epicurean delights, carp is a poor-tasting fish, but if a carp can keep you alive, go for it. An additional principle that is extremely important is that survival is a lot like war. You have to pull out all the stops and fight dirty. This means abandoning the ethical conduct of the sportsman and using every tool and trick at your disposal to find food. This means using illegal techniques, but it is very unlikely a person in a survival situation would face criminal charges for poaching, and regardless, it is better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
This is a common noose snare. This one is made by Thompson. It's attached to the tree, simply laid out into the trail. We set up a barrier which hopefully will drive the animal towards the snare, putting its neck in it and producing this result. Harder the animal fights, the tighter the snare is drawn. It produces strangulation, and there you have your dinner.
You may only get one shot, and it has to count. If you're sure of your ability and the accuracy of your weapon, go for the head. It is estimated that the earth provides in excess of 120,000 varieties of edible plants. In every location and every season, there are plants that can be foraged. However, plants should be considered supplemental to animal foods. One of the primary goals of survival is to nip any problem in the bud, for a small emergency can quickly broaden into a serious one if left unattended. Even the finest boots can cause blisters if not broken in before a long walk. Stop to check on any sign of irritation when it is first noticed, rather than shrugging it off until the skin is gone and the very real possibility has set in for infection. Once you have mastered the basic skills depicted in this video and armed yourself with the correct tools and equipment, you can roam the backcountry with a new feeling of security and pride.